just hitting the record. And say it again that we are super impressed about what you did so far. Thanks for taking the time to have this session with founders that joined Spotlight. 42 companies got in Spotlight this year. We're doing this for more than a decade now. We are super happy to help founders from Eastern Europe with such program that How to Web does, and namely Spotlight, to build better products and achieve faster growth. But of course, there's a problem over there, and some, if not all, have challenges. Some of them have to do with this growth and growth hacking, and actually building up this growth pipeline for the next milestones. And we hope that we will debunk some of these with your help, and other topics as well, as I'm sure we can cover.
Of course. Cool.
Yeah. So passing the floor on to you.
Cool, guys. So you know, I was prepped with a bunch of questions that we can get started with. I'm happy to jump into those, and we can start talking about those. I absolutely want to make this as practical and as useful as possible. I don't want this to be like a high-level theoretical sort of like chinwag, right? So if there's a part where we get into where we don't understand, if people are okay, why don't we sort of dig into those things, okay? Or if we tend to start going into a rabbit hole, and I'm looking at people and people are yawning and we're losing interest, I'm going to shout Elmo, and you guys are free to shout Elmo as well.
Elmo.
Does everyone know Elmo?
Yeah.
The little red.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in this case, Elmo is enough. Let's move on, right? And so if we start getting down to a rabbit hole and it's just not really applicable to people, I'll try to be careful and say Elmo, or you know, it's just a way for us to, because there's a lot of stuff, a lot of questions that we can get through. So why don't we jump in? So really quick. Oops, sorry. Okay, so who am I? You guys have graciously shown up. You don't know who I am. My name is Nopadon, and I've been doing this whole growth thing, the growth shenanigans, for 20 plus years. I'm a co-founder of a company called Startup Core Strengths. I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a few minutes. Before that, I was an entrepreneur in residence for City Ventures, working with Citibank's New York and London consumer and sort of institutional banking teams to sort of launch them. And then before that, I was with a venture firm called 500 Startups, where I was the growth hacker in residence and ran what they called the Distro Dojo, which is the growth program, which essentially I'm doing now without 500. And that's sort of who I am. I have a general, we're going to do a quick poll. So I just want to, I want to understand really quick, show of hands really quick, and then we'll do the poll. Where you guys are in your funding. So who's pre-seed? Okay, and then there's 3 who've got cameras off. I can't tell, so I'm assuming you are. Who's, hey, thanks, Paul. Who's seed?
Between seed and pre-seed.
Okay, ish, fine. Series A? B? Okay, fine. So we're, all right, that's great. Alex, can we launch the Zoom poll real quick? I'm just curious. Do we have a poll? Is it launching? If we don't have the poll, that's fine. We'll just do a show of hands. That'll be fine.
I guess I should have edited the video, the poll before starting the video. So we'll do the show of hands. Yeah.
Yeah, show of hands.
My
Super
bad.
easy. Low tech solution. How many of you guys right now have have decided on your North Star metric? Rafa, you made like a
fist.
Sorry, I didn't understand your question. Something went wrong here with the connection, so I don't know what you're asking.
North Star metric. Show of hands. Who has a North Star metric? Paul is like, no. Is that because you disagree with the concept, or is that you just don't have one?
No, actually, we're struggling to define a North Star metric. So,
okay, fine.
Yeah.
Fine. Second question: who's currently running weekly experiment sprints? Okay. Irina-ish.
Sort of.
Sort of. Monthly experiment sprints? Okay. All right, fine. So I know what we'll talk a bit about and the importance of such things and why you should care about your North Star metric. Let me just really quick tell you about what I do at Startup Core Strengths. So Startup Core Strengths is a 10-week program aimed at seed to Series B companies who are struggling to sort of align around their growth. It's a 10-week accelerator where we meet over Zoom, just like this, and we discuss, and each week is a workshop where it's a 90-minute workshop where we dive into a specific core strength that startup teams should have. One of those things being your North Star metric. And then each week builds on the following week. So by the time week 4 or 5 rolls around, when we are testing, say, your new propositions that you got from your customer interviews, that should be fairly smooth. So that's sort of what we do. At the end, if anyone's interested, I can go into more depth, but I'm not here to sell that program. I'm here to talk to you guys around what's important. So did you guys get these set of questions, by the way? Or am I the only one who got them?
Some general topics that we can touch upon. We have a digital avatar of the community in a Slack workspace, and they know that we are meeting you. Who are you? Some of the topics, not specifically the questions. The questions arise also from the discussion, but they are key areas. Yeah.
All right. So there's like 8 or so questions, right? And we can go into it if we're interested in this. So the first question, obviously, is what are the main things that you guys can be doing, right, to drive sustainable growth? And so, look, everything we have up to this point, the success that you've had, is come from some customer knowledge that you've had, correct? There's an unmet need that you saw in the market, and you said the current solutions are either shit or they're over-engineered, they're complicated. I can come in and I can fix this problem, right? But beyond that, this becomes very dangerous. It's what I would call the curse of knowledge, where we think we know, right? And we have endless meetings around the table where we say, well, I think, and the engineers and the product people say, I think, and it should be, and blah, blah. And it's a waste of time. It's a waste of time and energy. And so the first sort of port of call for all of you is customer conversations, and really to adopt a test and learn methodology. This is why I was asking how many of you actually are running weekly experiment sprints, right? So the first thing is we don't know. We have a hypothesis, we have certain assumptions, right? And what we have to do is be able to de-risk those things as quickly as possible, right? All of you have heard of risky assumptions, I assume, before? Yes, no? A super easy way to think about this, guys, is think about your product, think about a campaign, think about anything that you're doing, right? You're about to launch a product, you're about to launch a feature, you are going to try new pricing, whatever, something that's fairly big, right? What I want you to do is you all know what a pre-mortem, sorry, a post-mortem is, right? Right? Okay. I want you to do a pre-mortem. I want you to take a step back and say, we're going to launch this feature. We're going to launch this landing page. We're going to launch this campaign. We're going to launch this thing. Sit down with the team and say, right, let's pretend we are 1 week, 2 weeks into the future after this thing has been launched and it's absolutely failed. Failed. Why did it fail? Right? So show of hands, does anybody have, I don't know, a feature or something that they're releasing, a new product, new anything that's currently okay? Paul. Paul, are you comfortable talking about this in front of people?
Yeah,
Now-
sure.
Now he is.
Okay.
Sure, why not? Yeah.
So Paul,
Yeah.
what are you going to be releasing?
Let's say two things we're thinking about. First is our complete restructure and rethink of our website, which has been really not driving anything towards us,
Yep.
not really generating confidence for people that we've already been in touch with.
Great.
So we can
Okay,
take this
let's
as an
talk about
example.
that for a second. All right. Boom, site goes out. You high five the room and your team and you say, "Good job, team." And then the next day, crickets. No leads, no visits, no whatever
Yeah.
you're trying to do. Why did that happen? Give me 3 reasons why it failed.
3 reasons. Not enough exposure on
You weren't
launch.
you didn't have channels distribution channels to get your message out.
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
Yeah. Second could be what's above the fold is not enough to get past the, let's say, lizard brain. Not
Okay,
enough.
so our hero image and our copy does not resonate with our target audience, our ideal customer profile. Fine.
Yeah.
Great. 3. Give me another one.
Not addressing the people fine-grained enough for their imagined use case.
Okay. So we haven't, again, our message is missing the mark and is not resonating in the way that it should with our ideal customer profile. Okay.
Yeah.
So congratulations. Those 3 things are real. Those are absolutely
definitely
real. That's absolutely going to happen. Okay. Does anybody think that these reasons are left field and really weird and like sound odd? No. These are probably pretty common things that are going to happen. So those 3 things that you have in front of you now, Alex, you're going to ask something? Alexandru?
Yeah, I have a similar situation, so I wanted to add a 4th item, if that's okay.
Let's
Which
do it.
I'm challenging and I'm thinking of. Sometimes I think of people not caring enough about the problem altogether. So even
not big enough pain.
Yeah, not big enough.
Vitamin, not
pain.
painkiller.
Yeah. That's
Okay.
it. So
Vitamin,
that's
not
my
painkiller.
yeah. That's
Okay.
the most worrying, let's say, idea.
Okay. So
Yeah.
guys and girls, these icebergs are now in front of you. This shit is absolutely real, right? This is going to happen. So let's talk about the first one, right? Paul, you said distribution channels, right? So what distribution channels can you get on, right? That's not even a test. That's just like doing your homework to figure out. So we'll push that one aside. Let's talk about, you said the message doesn't resonate. Okay?
Yeah, might be. Yeah.
So how do we de-risk that? So what message would resonate? How do we figure that out?
One way we are trying it is to split some sections by industry. We're a B2B selling.
No, I want you to be lean, quick, and dirty, right? This is nothing more than putting this on like a sheet of paper on PowerPoint and showing someone from the prospect this thing and say, do you understand what this says? Do you understand what this means? This is called a comprehension test. This is called a 5-second comprehension test, right? You show them the headline with a subheadline, with no image, whatever. You take it away. You're not even listening for, oh, I like this, I like that, I would use this, blah, blah, blah. No, we're literally trying to figure out if they understand what this is, okay? So before building it, you can de-risk that quickly. You can show it to people. You could run it in ads. You could do loads of different things to de-risk that, to figure out what is going to resonate with that target. The second thing that you said was something around that this isn't going to, the use case that we talk about isn't detailed enough, right? So how do you figure that out?
Yeah.
How do you figure that out?
Customer interviews or potential customers interviews. Yeah.
Exactly. And all of this can be de-risked before you even launch this thing, right? We know that, like, let's say 90% of landing page traffic bounces, right? And 90%, like, obviously there can be loads of reasons, slow pages, poor targeting, whatever. But the big chunk of that is comprehension issues. So you guys are at this stage now where we have, like, our superpower is we can move quickly. We can't, there are no prizes for working harder. We can't outspend the incumbents. We can't outgun the incumbents, right? We're probably new. We're probably trying to disrupt a space. So the only thing that we have to our advantage is that we're built for speed. There's zero compromise. We should be able to do this quickly, be able to iterate, be able to show it, be able to iterate and learn quickly. So this is the test and learn methodology. I want you to think about all the risks that you are faced with, and I want you to think about what is the quickest, dirtiest way that I can get to that answer to de-risk this thing. Is that clear to people? Yes? No? Fine.
Yeah.
2, the thing that I find, so right now, so with 500 startups, I probably worked with 100 different startups personally. With Startup Core Strengths, I'm up, we've worked with about 80 or so companies just this year. I can tell you, hands down, the root cause of campaigns not working, the root cause of features not working, the root cause of people not being activated or retained, or all of that, right, is a lack of customer knowledge. Now, all of you are going to say, I know my customer. I got customers, right? Like, Nopadon, you're full of shit. Like, of course we know our customers. You have to dig much deeper than you think you actually know. There's a framework we can talk about later. I don't know. It's called Jobs to be Done. Has anybody heard of it? Anybody using it? Right. So it's the single most powerful framework that I've come across in really getting people to understand the motivations, the conscious and unconscious motivations of why someone would choose you or switch to you or not even give you a chance, right? And so all of you have to level up on your customer obsession and really be doing, a show of hands, who's doing weekly customer interviews? Excellent. And if you're not doing them, is it because your product person is doing it, someone else is doing it? Yes, no? Okay, so if you're not doing customer interviews, like 9 times out of 10, the answers lie with them, right? You know what? This is so small. I'm gonna have to look at this. Okay. You guys have just seen my glasses. I'm so embarrassed. Finally, I will get into the customer conversation, customer obsessions a little later on, and we can talk about examples. And then the last thing that I constantly see is things that go wrong in your companies at this early stage will continue to go wrong in later stages because they are caused by a root cause. Every single pain that you have is an undesirable side effect. And a lot of this common root cause is not having the ability to ruthlessly prioritize the thing that matters most to you now. All of you know you could be doing 100 different things. But really, honestly, there's probably 5 to 10 things that only matter right now. Right? And you can do all of those things poorly or okay, or you can do those things that matter now really, really, really well. And so this is the importance of having a North Star metric. We can talk about that if you guys are curious. And then your team has to be aligned on that North Star metric. Once that North Star metric is decided, you can figure out what your key levers of growth are. What are the things that we can actually do to affect that thing now? And let's take a look at what we're working on, right? Now that we've decided these are the things that we have to do, you need to put down the things that are not important. You need to stop doing them. You need your team to stop doing them. And you have to have this ruthless prioritization around that North Star. Does anyone heard rate limiting step, bottleneck? Does anybody know what their bottleneck in their funnel is right now? How do you pronounce your name? Alan.
Aline. Mm-hmm.
Alan, what is the bottleneck right now in your funnel?
Mainly most of my so my name is Aline.
Aline, sorry.
Aline, yeah, the CEO of Repsmate. Repsmate is a product developed for call centers. So
Okay.
my bottleneck right now is that Romanian call centers are not using cloud at all. So we have to go on-prem with them. And this is even harder for us because their infrastructure is not good enough, and they have to buy GPUs in order to use our product.
Okay. Thank you. That's not necessarily what I meant by your bottleneck, but
Okay.
That is a separate thing, which is if that is the issue, then I question whether you have the right ideal customer profile, right? Because to sort of change behavior, we'll talk about inertia, how hard it is to switch to solutions. And I would suggest at the earliest stages, you want people who are in pain and don't have the solution, right? But if they don't currently do something, that's not a bottleneck. So what I mean by a bottleneck is we could have, what is your visit to conversion to demo or visit to sign up? What is your demo to POC rate? What is your product activation rate? What is your soft activated, hard activated user? When looking at your whole funnel from acquisition to activation, do you guys know where your bottleneck is? I've seen teams that continue to spend on Facebook when they have less than a 1% conversion rate. I'm like, are you high? What's wrong with you? Why are you burning money like that? Because there's no point in throwing money into the funnel if you can't unlock that bottleneck. So do you guys, right now on this call, do you guys have an idea of what your key bottleneck is? Paul, what is it?
Me again. So for us, we sell B2B to factories, right? To industry. Yep. And this is something, what we sell, it's beginning to become something must have, but for a lot of them, it's a nice to have thing. And our biggest showstopper, I would say, is the fear of the people in these organizations that they will get into this project and it will not bring hard results for them.
So what is the bottleneck? Getting from demo to POC?
Yeah. Getting from demo to POC. This is
okay. So there
we
you go.
feel it's a lack of trust on their side that they will get hard results.
So Paul has got no problems filling in the pipeline. He can do outbound, inbound, cold, blah blah blah. But his bottleneck is converting that demo to POC, right? So all hands on deck. what are you guys doing to test, to learn, to figure out what that bottleneck, how to unlock that? So we know that that's the bottleneck. It's great that we're getting a new website, right? Fine. But really, everything flows from unlocking that value. So what is the team doing? What is the team aligned around? What experiments are there and what conversations are they having to really bottom out why the POC isn't happening, right? And that could be, like you said, it's a vitamin, not a painkiller. It could be the inertia because it's a corporate. It could be trust. It could be loads of different things. But until you know what that thing is, you can't label it and you can't tactically overcome it. So all of you have to have this ruthless focus on your bottom. Like most of you are saying you have one, don't have one, or don't know. I hope you know, right? Because there's no point in moving in wasting energy on something unless you know that it's the most important thing to work on. Sounds very simple, concept super simple. Execution just requires you as the founder to be ruthless about it. Is that clear to people? Yes? No?
Yeah.
Do you guys disagree?
Not sure if Alex wanted to add something earlier. He had his virtual hand raised.
Oh, sorry. Go on, Alex.
No worries, no worries. Just
Yeah, it's fine. I just wanted to describe my current bottlenecks, but it's fine.
Yep, let's hear it. Let's hear it. What is it?
So we're trying to learn to build customer knowledge on the product, like with the people trying the product and of the product while doing interviews. So I have two bottlenecks, right? For the of the product, I made a survey. I'm trying to attract people into interviews, and that's a bottleneck. So complete survey to JTBD interview, and I'm not managing to pull it off. And then on the product, we have a form that shows up 30 seconds into the session saying if you want to, stay in touch with us and see this product grow and have some sessions. I'm trying to lure them into an interview actually by getting their email address. So that's the second bottleneck on the product, right? So
what is the product that you're trying to sell?
We are doing a curated content platform that is AI driven for leisure time options, such as
So your bottleneck is getting more the interview pipeline, right?
Yeah.
So one way to do that, again, your team should be coming up with a pipeline of experiments, ideas that we can think of, brainstorm, prioritize those experiments by impact versus effort, find the ones that are really high effort and try to break it down into a minimum viable test. Yeah. And they should just be running that pipeline to see. A quick thing as well is like no one wants to like sign up for a newsletter, like very rarely. So you might consider creating some sort of a lead magnet, which talks about like if someone is feeling this pain, more about this space, like how you should think about it. What are the common misconceptions? What are the common things to think about if you're going to head down this path? Because that would be far more informative than just saying, hey, sign up for our newsletter.
Actually, we have some curators. So we're trying to sell the idea that they might have a Q&A session, a live Q&A session with a curator, right?
Yeah.
So something that will be valuable for them, not only a newsletter, and then capture the email address in the process. The problem is a bit upstream, meaning that this, let's say, CTA shows up 30 seconds into the session, and unfortunately, we're not managing to have visitors spend those 30 seconds into the product, right? So they spend less. So that's probably an earlier bottleneck than that, right? So even if I would experiment on this.
So isolate the variables. Is it the page, or is it the traffic, or is it the message that's getting there?
Yeah.
Right? So isolate the variables, but
and
again,
experiment on changing those, right?
Yes.
On iterating on those. Okay. Yeah.
Hey, so guys, I don't know if like any of this is resonating. Like I'm trying, like if you don't get it, if you have questions, feel free to ask, jump in. The next question around there was like how to maintain. Someone's gonna say something?
Yeah, I actually had a follow-up question, which is
Sure.
actually troubles me. And the
Yep.
question goes the following. I'm trying to push as hard as I can in order to get these interviews and to build acquisition for the product in trying to attract people in this way. And my darkest thought, as I said earlier, is that people don't care enough about their leisure time, enough so that they would choose a product to
Have you ever
learn.
read the mom test?
Yeah.
Are you doing mom? And so I would switch from doing jobs to be done interviews to validation interviews. Right?
Okay.
I would, because you're saying to me, I'm not sure that there's a pain here, right?
Yeah.
And jobs interviews will get you some of the way, but I think a much simpler, cleaner way of doing this is to do mom style validation interview. Has anyone heard of that book, The Mom Test? Yes.
So
No?
just to sum it up, what I would do is I would ask them, in this interview or in this session, I would ask them when was the last time when you've done this?
Yes.
Right, this particular thing. And if
Yes.
they say it's 5 years ago,
Yeah,
that kind of answers. Yeah, that kind of answers my question, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's super powerful for those of you who are sort of pre-product. Who else is pre-product? Everyone's got product. Okay. So that's like, anyway, that's a very useful technique, is doing sort of validation interviews if you're worried that there is no there. So how to maintain your team's focused on a goal?
Say something
Yep.
more.
Rafa?
Here was told a lot about the bottleneck. Yeah, when
Yep.
we started our product, I'm Rafał, the CEO of Heavy Kinematic Machines. We are making such a solution. Solo Workout is a combination of sensors we make and applications. So the sensors you install in the gym machines, and you can, using the application, you can get all the statistics of your workouting. You can make workout plans in the application and so on. So it's a fitness application, but automatically collecting data. Yeah, it's that's the add-in. It's great when a workouting person has wearable. Yeah. Because when we combine this data together, then we have heart rate and all the data, how much weight you were lifting and so on. That's great. Yeah. Sure. But at the beginning of our road, that was just before COVID, we had no bottleneck and the COVID appeared. Yeah. And that brought us a big problem of getting our product into the market, because before that, everybody wanted at the place the product. And now they are thinking about survival and always pushing us further. Wait a half a year, I understand them. But for now, for us, it's a bottleneck how to attract them more, that we are really great thing even for getting back the customers there.
So let's think about this. So do you have issues with people finding you?
You know, we are at the beginning of our world. We only are working with 3 clubs now.
Okay, but most clubs have not heard of you.
For example, in my area, almost every has.
Okay, so once they've heard of you and they come onto your site, what do? Do they contact you for a demo?
The clubs that wanted, I already contacted, and now I'm speaking for about between 20 and 50 clubs that want the solution, for example. But it takes a lot of time because they want to recover their revenues to be able to run my solution. Yeah. But the rest of the clubs, for example, now it's not even thinking about getting something new or getting something for the users, or that will be helpful by retention, of the users of the club. So I think there are now more closed and waiting what will happen on the market.
So I'm still not clear what your bottleneck is, right? So if you don't have problems with people finding you, then okay, your top of funnel is okay. But once people find you, converting them into a customer.
Into customer.
Okay. So so all of your marketing efforts do you have right now is 95% of their effort solely focused on converting that visit, that demo, that conversation into a sale. Yes?
Yep.
Okay. So there is a case where you've identified your bottleneck, right? And you are solely focused on that. So you're not worried about running top of funnel ads. You're not worried about anything else, right? You're focused solely on conversion from site to sale.
Yep.
Okay. So it sounds like it's like sort of sorted, right? So, all right. But the concept of bottlenecks is super important, guys. Like, it is everything when it comes to how we're using our resources. Because like I said, like, our only advantage is speed, man. Like, we can't outspend the competition, so we have to move quickly. So this next question is around, like, how do we maintain team focus on a goal? Give us some tips, right? You're not going to be surprised by this. So show of hands, people who don't have a North Star metric. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Marion, you've got one. Natalia, you got one? Okay. So, I'm going to slaughter your name. Ovidlu?
Hello, yes, Ovidio.
Ovidio, okay. What is your business?
We measure the client happiness in real time for
That's right.
B2B.
That's right. So how do you know, how does your team know that they're winning?
It depends from what perspective. On business growth, by revenue. On, I don't know, product, by... It depends what you mean.
Exactly. All of it. So the reason we have a North Star metric, particularly at this early stage. So I've worked recently with a team that had been together for, I think, 10 years. And when we do this exercise where they try to decide their North Star metric, it took them 2 weeks, right? And when you look into why it took them 2 weeks, it's because they didn't have a tight ideal customer profile. They had perverse incentives. They chased money. They built features and things because people requested them. So if you ask people what's your aha moment in your product, they say, we've got 5 or 6 aha moments, right? That's a problem. That's a real problem. Because then how do you know you're delivering on your customer's outcomes, the thing that the customer actually hired you to do? So at this early stage, for the teams that don't have a North Star metric, this is absolutely critical. And generally what we say is, with a North Star metric, we tend not to use revenue, right? And the reason we don't use revenue is that it's a metric that we can manipulate, right? We can do. So you want to look and find a customer behavior that shows that they're loving getting value out of your product, and it's a behavior that can increment. So for like Airbnb, I think theirs was something like nights spent, right? For Uber, it's like rides taken, right? And if you don't align, as you know, like as founders, growth of your business isn't on your shoulders. It's a team sport, right? Growth is a team sport. It's you, it's your head of product, it's your marketing, it's your growth person, it's your devs. It's a team sport. And every one of you has to be singly aligned on the same sheet as to this is the direction we're going. If you aren't in agreement on the direction, the thing, that metric that we are all sort of aiming for, you can have no coordination and alignment. You will move in different directions. And so as founders, as co-founders, you absolutely must have that metric nailed down, right? And by having that metric nailed down, then you're able to work back to what I'm showing here that we talked about. What is that bottleneck? Once you've identified that, what are the key growth levers that we call? What are the things that you can actually pull? So say your North Star metric is, we had a team that, what do they do?
Can I give you an example that
Sure.
we thought of in our case? Maybe it helps. So we were considering to have the number of insights marked as resolved as a metric like that. So our product generates insights based on happiness, and the user can mark them as useful or not useful.
Can you manipulate that number? I don't see how. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah, me neither. Well, we can change it in the database, but
no. Okay. And so that to me, one, sounds like a strong North Star metric, right? Why? People can rally behind it. It's memorable. It's motivating, right? Like if you tell your team like our North Star metric is number of clients, like teams are like, all right, whatever, cool, fine. But this is something that like you want to be able to motivate your team. Okay, so now that is your North Star metric, right? The number of resolved issues, right? Insights. What are your 2 or 3 levers that you can pull to increase that number? Stop before you answer me. Other people on the call, what are some levers that he could probably pull to affect that metric?
Is it the easiness of people using a particular feature that they would be rating whether it's useful or not? Because that's one thing, right? The user experience of each feature.
So it could be something around, one of the things is probably the number of clients who are onboarded under the platform, right? The number of clients who are activated and submitting tickets or something. Well, it's not the client who's doing it. It's like the customer who's submitting the ticket, right?
The platform generates the tickets based on the client communication. Okay. So they could influence it by communicating more.
Yeah. So what you need to, well, see, that's the, okay. So what we want to do, guys, is when we figured out what our North Star is, right? That thing, how do we grow that number? There's probably 2 or 3 things that you can do to affect that metric, right? And those are going to be your growth drivers. And all of you have to be aligned around that, like product, dev, marketing, everything, right? That all fits under growth. The last thing I said is like OKRs. Like, look, I don't really care if you use OKRs, but they're just a way of making sure that what we are doing actually ladders up to the growth ladders. Is anyone using OKRs now? Okay, so Agu is. So don't worry about it if you're not using OKRs. But what I need to know is, how do you know the work that is being done actually ladders up to the work that matters most? How do you know that? Marion, how do you know that?
We don't have OKRs, we have KPIs, but well, for us, we're building a marketplace, so the North Star is getting the construction workers on the platform. So the number of workers is what we're all like working for.
Yeah, so it's like the number of like workers you're employing.
Yes.
Okay, great. So what are the key growth drivers? Excuse me, of that.
Well, we just launched 8 weeks ago, so we don't
Okay.
really know. Most of the growth has come from the last 3 weeks. We really
Your key
we don't know
drivers,
yet.
right, are probably top of funnel, right? Attracting workers. Another one is probably conversion rate around once they get to you, being able to
Yeah.
communicate what you do to get them onto the platform. And the third one is probably matching them with jobs, liquidity, right?
Yeah.
Having workers that come on and find jobs. So those are three things that the team can actively work on to increase your North Star metric, right?
Yeah.
So do you have a growth team or do you have a marketing team?
It's just actually 4 people.
Okay. So now this is even more prescient in that like you can't do everything, right? With a team of 4, you can't do everything.
Yeah.
Right. So it means you have to consciously not do something. So of the work that you're doing, do they ladder up to those 3 things that we just said? Getting more traffic, getting them onboarded.
Yeah, we're
finding liquidity.
focusing, we're leaving the matching part out because on our marketplace, the demand, the companies, they're not the problem. That the pain is just so huge, but finding the workers is the problem. So we're doing everything to attract them and keep them. And later on, we will find the matches for jobs for them.
Fine. So here you're singly focused on just getting workers and then
Yeah.
like matching will come. So one of the things that I want to warn you about is you made a promise, right? We're going to find you work.
Yeah.
And they get there and there's no work.
We do have some work.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
We do
fine.
have some work. But the issue is that that since it's only 4 people and we have 350 construction workers, we don't even have the resources to talk with all of them.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the problem we're trying to solve right now, how to make the process faster.
Great. And your bottleneck then is
kind of the manual work there of talking to the workers and finding the suitable jobs.
okay. Great. So, all right. I'm not going to bang on about OKRs or whatever, but all I have to say to you guys is I have a sneaking suspicion that not all of the work that you're doing is laddering up to those things that are most important to you right now. So, look, this is like people always want to talk about what are the current trends in growth and user acquisition strategy. So, I tend not to. There's a major difference in my and I think that people have to understand between growth and sort of like growth hacks and tactics and whatever. It's like hacks and all of that stuff that comes and it goes, right? Something that works this week probably won't work when everybody else figures it out. There's very low hanging fruit left when it comes to hacks. Growth isn't Facebook ads. Growth isn't top of funnel. Growth isn't digital marketing, right? Can you tell me of like one unicorn that became a unicorn running Facebook ads, right? It doesn't work that way, right? And so I asked some people earlier on, has anybody heard of the jobs to be done methodology? Show of hands. Okay. So jobs is a customer framework that's was popularized by Clayton Christensen, the late Clayton Christensen, Bob Mesta, Anthony Ulrich. And it dives into why people make the decisions they do, why they buy things, why they switch to things, and why they don't. Okay. And now it was really primarily a product framework, but I find that because it's growth, it is an untapped, like not enough marketers, growth people know about it. Okay. Just super quick, I want to highlight some of the superpowers of jobs to be done. And if you guys are interested, later on, I'll try to find some resources, right, for you. So the concept of jobs to be done really quick is that every one of us sitting here right now wants to make progress in our lives. And what do I mean by that? I mean, you want to wake up, you want your day to go well, and you want to have a smooth day with no hiccups. Yes? So what we do is we hire things into our lives to help us make that progress. Just think of it that way. We hire something to help us make progress. And when that thing no longer works, we fire it, right? And so understanding your prospects' jobs, okay, will tell you who your true competitors are. Once you know who your true hidden competitors are, you'll be able to find more customers. You'll be able to tighten up your propositions. You'll be able to convert more customers. You'll be able to serve those customers better. Let me give you an example of like an alternative solution. So if I said to you, what does the New York Times compete with? Go ahead, unmute, shout out some answers.
Like a Facebook thread, I think. Some.
What else? Anyone?
Wait, another 15 minutes and laying in bed in the morning.
Washington Post.
Whatever you do in the morning, and might capture your attention is a competitor, right?
So New York Times, what is the job? What is the thing that they fulfill? What is their purpose? What are they supposed to do?
I think it's start off your day by learning about what's going on in the world, right?
Nice. Yeah. What does a newspaper do?
Provide information.
Yeah.
Cover the news as impartial as possible, I guess.
Yeah. Fine. It's a way to get news, right? To stay informed, to know what's happening in the world, right? So, Irina, you said competes with what?
I said competes with Washington Post.
Washington Post, fine. Anybody else? What does it compete with?
A Twitter thread or whatever.
Yeah. How do you guys get your information when you wake up? Do you walk down and grab your New York Times, your Washington Post, your local newspaper? How do you get your news?
Scroll down the field and you see some news in the internet.
Okay. So the traditional view is, you're right, Irina, New York Times, Los Angeles Times, whatever, right? Another newspaper. But when you look at how people actually try to make progress in their lives, which is I want to be informed in my day of what's going on in the world, they use different ways of doing that. Let me give you one more. What does British Airways compete with?
Ryanair.
Okay. What else?
Whatever gets you from A to B.
Okay. What else?
Some Euro trains, BlaBlaCar maybe even.
Yep. Keep going.
Maybe some Zooms nowadays.
Exactly. Zoom and Microsoft Teams. Exactly. I'm not there in person. We're not there in person. And to make progress, instead of business class travel, which I'm sure, Alex, you would have sent me a business class ticket, right?
Yeah, will do.
Is competing with Zoom. Just like Zoom competes with WeWork and all the co-working spaces.
Mhm.
As soon as you guys understand this, you will see that you don't actually compete with who you think you compete with. Ask your customers, how do they currently solve the problem? How do they go about making progress? And you'd be surprised. Like when I was at Citibank, they were like, oh, we compete with JP Morgan. No, you don't. I spoke to them. They're throwing bodies at it, outsourcing engineering to India. They're using consultants. They're using McKinsey. They're like using this software to solve this problem. You don't actually compete with that. You compete with them throwing bodies at it. So when you think about what you actually do, how else does your prospect, like, look, let me give you an example. Everyone's heard of Calendly, right?
Mhm.
Okay. Say we have a sales team, right? And our pain is we want to book more demos. Okay? We could use Calendly, right? Because then we don't have to do the back and forth. The prospect can just choose the time and speak to your salesperson, right?
Mhm.
What else could we do?
Assign them, pre-assign them to some like.
So, yep, you could assign them. You could hire a bunch of SDRs to assign them to chase people down, right? What else could you do?
You could enforce a time, like here we're available to have a demo with you, but specifically at this time.
Yep. So like shoehorn them into like a specific time, right?
Yep.
We could outsource a call center to like chase people down for us, right? So already we've come up with 4 or 5 ways that you can do the same thing that Calendly is doing, right? So if all of us now were like in the founding team of Calendly and we do our interviews with sales teams, we're listing for these alternative solutions. They're not thinking about like Doodle or the other calendar tool.
Mhm.
They're thinking about solving the problem by hiring a team of SDRs. That's what you compete with. That's what Calendly competes with. So if you're Calendly, how do you talk about it to this sales team? 1, make your SDRs more effective by giving them a tool to book more meetings.
Mhm.
What's another thing you could say?
You
This is
could
far more effective than having a 10 count of like 10, like use those 10 people for something more important.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
you can also, you can make a potential lead into a customer faster because it sees that you're fully booked there.
Yes.
Because we use Calendly and we use Calendly specifically for that purpose.
So what I'm trying to get to here, guys, is I want you to think long and hard about your business. And if I were to ask you, what's your competitor? You could probably tell me your direct competitor, right? But so, Natalia, it's Bid Renta. What do you do?
The CRM system for rental property management.
All right, perfect. So, who do you compete with? Who do you compete with?
Oh, yes. If I will like continue to talk in this angle, then we can compete with the phone, with the mails, with the Excel.
Pen and paper, Excel. So Excel is probably your biggest competitor.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So one of the things you can do, let's say we were to do our interviews, and let's just say 9 times out of 10, it's Excel, right? Does your current website actually talk about stop using Excel and here's why it's better than using a shitty spreadsheet?
Into blog posts.
Okay, but not on the website, right?
On the website into articles, yeah,
Okay.
but not under the features or something like that.
So remember, guys, people aren't coming to you with an empty mind. They're coming to you with a solution that they're currently using, and it's not some other fancy CRM tool, right? And so by knowing what they've come with, you can create a better message. You can look for, it helps you create better targeting. All right, so that's alternative solutions. The last thing I want to talk to you about is this concept of, they call it the 4 forces, right? And I think it's the most powerful tool in the jobs arsenal. Now, there are 4 forces that are at work at any time. The first force is some sort of a push, meaning your prospect feels pain and they're like, oh, this sucks. I need to do something about this. I need to fix this, right? And then immediately they see you, they see Bedrento, and then they see the promise and they're like, yes, I like that. Yes, I'm a construction worker. Yes, work is giving me a promise that like I like, right? And they go to you. And all of us as founders like to think about pain, and we like to think about our proposition. You guys can recite that shit like off the top of your head. You've been through so many investor meetings. But now I'm going to challenge you to think about the anxiety and the inertia. Okay? Hand on heart, when you look at your website, all of you, what anxieties do prospects have about your business, or this space? Bedrento, is my data safe? What else?
Yes, they ask that. Some also asking about we a startup. Oh, we will be like live.
What happens when you go away? Yep.
Yes.
So two massive anxieties. Client Zen, what are the, Virgil, what are the anxieties they have about you?
Well, a lot of them ask what happens with our data, with our communication that passes through your platform. Does it leak? Is that an issue? No.
Okay.
Just
so
on
all
Facebook.
of you take a few seconds, take your Post-it note out and write out your top 2 or 3 anxieties. I want you to do it now because I don't trust you to do it later. Irina, what do you got?
I already did this exercise, so I can tell you on the top of my head. Okay, so I'm in this industry that is not fully digitalized, which is real estate. So they're like, will my employee be able to use this?
Okay.
Because I have over 40 people, like over 40.
Yeah. What's another anxiety?
Another anxiety is that who has access to my data, which is a standard for a SaaS solution.
Yep.
And another thing is that what will my team be able to see in terms of like management, because they don't want to share everything with the team.
Okay. Those seem to be fairly high level anxieties, which are good, right? So guys, what I want you to do is take that Post-it note, take a look at your current website, and do you address any of those anxieties? Do you do anything at all to try to reduce the anxiety? Yes, no, kind of.
What we're trying to do, for instance, we keep a blog post updated, and we recently addressed the spreadsheets,
so
the
I gotta go to
data.
your website and then go find the blog post to find out that you do this.
We also have frequently asked questions, so we try to integrate in there the most questions that they are.
So guys, so the first thing, right, is anxiety. And you were able to come up with just 2 or 3 just from the top of your head, but I guarantee there are more. I guarantee it 100%. And it's your job to figure out what those things are, because if you don't tactically overcome them, you don't have a chance. The last force, the worst, the most powerful, is inertia. Okay? Inertia is I can't make a decision. I'm holding on to something. So I'm going to give you the 5 key factors to inertia, okay? And then tell me if these apply to you. Are you a new product category? Show of hands. Do you have multiple stakeholders who have to buy this? Bullshit. Client Zen, BidRenter, you definitely have multiple stakeholders.
Yes, we just don't know yet.
You definitely have multiple stakeholders. You have like 5.4, right? Is like the average, right? You have multiple work. I don't think you have multiple stakeholders. Maybe the spouse or could be a multiple stakeholder, but I doubt it, right?
Not really. The
Not really.
companies are small.
Okay. 3, inability to try. And they easily try this thing. Yeah? All of you, they can easily try this? No. 4, does it require a change in behavior in the way they're currently doing something? Yeah.
Speak out loud, Katarina.
Katerina, you're on mute.
Yeah, I know. I'm just, I'm commenting all the time. I'm just saying, yeah, it's a culture change. I mean, they have been in the Stone Age for ages. And of course, they have the pen and paper and Excel. And no, they don't have Excel even in my thing. They have mails.
Okay.
400, one thread.
So it's a change of behavior.
Yes,
Okay.
culture change.
Finally, switching costs. Is there switching costs involved? Okay.
What do you mean by switching costs? You mean how much they need to pay for it or something?
No, it doesn't have to be pay. It's like an opportunity. Like if you're, let's say you're like CRM coming to me, right? And I'm using, I don't know, Pipedrive or something. Like, okay, like there's an actual effort I have to do to get my data out, to put it into you. And what happened if it doesn't work? And it's just, there's a time and opportunity cost for me to actually switch my data out of Pipedrive to use your CRM, hypothetically, right? And so let me give you a classic example of inertia. I live in London. So, you know, I was looking to buy a new mattress, okay? Where you're from, in your country, if you want to throw out a mattress, get rid of your old mattress, how do you do it?
You go to the specific place in the town, they write down your data and you can do it free of charge. You need to bring it there. You cannot just leave it somewhere.
Okay. So you got to go to the town center, to the dump. You got to like make an appointment or something?
No, you just come and you ask which container can I use.
And can I dump my thing? So I live in London. I don't have a car. And in London, you have to make an appointment with the council. And the council says, yeah, we'll come and you can put it on the street 4 Thursdays from now. Right? And then I live on the 3rd floor. And so I've got a Super King. So I can't drag that down by myself. So I need help dragging it down 3 floors, throw it on the street a month from now. And so I'm standing there in the store thinking about buying a new mattress, and and the first thing I say is, nah, not today. I'm not dealing with this. That is inertia. That's inertia. Your customers are doing the same thing. If it's a new product category, so what you have to do is you have to figure out what of these factors are actually causing them inertia. So we said new product category. What does that mean? That means training. It means maybe a video. Maybe it means explaining an explainer video to show them the new way, right? Not a demo, just a video that explains a new product category. If we said multiple stakeholders, which probably most of you have, what is that? That's content for the stakeholders who are involved in that deal. There's typically a financial buyer, a technical buyer, maybe a user buyer, right? And so you want to have the documentation in like a PDF made just for that particular stakeholder, right? And then I said, change in behavior. A change in behavior then means it's a combination of like testimonials, a combination of guides or tools that you can help them sort of like make that change. So for instance, if you have a CRM tool, actually, Katrina, what is your product?
We are SaaS, we are marketplace and software for direct group bookings.
SaaS for what?
Direct group bookings, group travel.
Okay.
People traveling in groups, you know, you have a guide in front, he walks and a bunch of guys are following him.
Okay. So
it's a very niche product. It's a B2B only. It's very professional. It's very niche. So I need to tell a story to explain why, you know, that's the point. So this is very industry centric.
To travel agents.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's incoming, outgoing travel agents and hotels from other side.
Okay. So what is the change in behavior that they would have to do?
Well, they will need to, because they will need to log in there. They will need to create a profile. Okay, it's 5-10 minutes. Then they will need to, if they are not integrated with PMS system, it's property management system, they would need to put it manually, the availability. And then they would need actually to, when they get a notification, they would need actually to reply on it in the system instead of clicking their favorite email.
What do they currently struggle with?
Our users.
Yeah. No, like prospects, getting people to switch.
Getting people to switch. Well, first, before COVID, it was just to get the attention of decision maker because they were too cool to listen to you. After, when COVID, group travel was ruined, then we had all the attention. And then I have a lot of, the point is that as you say, we have a financial buyer. It's like let's say, revenue manager or a hotel owner, right? And then you have a technical guy in the group reservation departments who was like, I don't need this. Oh, I'm so good with this thing, mails, and I don't want to learn.
Well, that's the thing, right? Because they all of these stakeholders, they are thinking a couple things. This is more work for me.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
Or this is dangerous for me.
Yeah.
Because it could replace me. So your stakeholder content has to be positioned in a way that shows them how you can make their lives better. Right? How you will free them up to do more important shit, right? As opposed to worry about their job. So that's one aspect. But what I was trying to get to in the change in behavior, if anyone has, like Natalia, like if they're an Excel, right? Excel base going into your CRM. So they're going to have to stop using Excel and use a different tool. So one of those things that you could help with a change in behavior is maybe create some sort of CSV file or something where you can upload their current thing into the system easier. So you're trying to create a change in behavior, and you can brainstorm and come up with ways, how do I help change that behavior? Right? And so you can come up with tools, techniques, whatever. Switching costs, you could do an ROI calculator, right? How much is it costing you now to not fix this, right? It's like an ROI calculator. You've seen them on websites, like how many, put it in. Switching costs can also be case studies around the ROI or of not missing the opportunity, right? But the point is, guys, that I'm trying to make here is that it's very easy for us to think about the pain that the customer has. And we love talking about our product. That's all we do. We have this feature. We're good at this. Product, feature. The problem is, by doing that, your prospect has to think about how your product is going to fit into their lives, right? What you should be doing is understanding what are the outcomes, what are the goals that they're trying to reach, what are the anxieties that they have, what is the inertia that they come to you with, and talk to them in a way and have a solution or content that's designed to help alleviate that, to help smooth that. Without that, people will never switch to you. It's just super hard. Yeah? We got way off track. So look, there's loads of stuff.
But nobody said Elmo, so yeah.
How did I shape your ideal growth framework? Best of market fit.
We can also pick something that's very burning in
So,
their mind. So leave aside that. It was just to guide us up until now. There's 15 minutes. I mean, less than 15 minutes that we can spend with you, at least from what we've reserved in your calendar. So let's take the other or the last 2-3 burning things for teams here.
Have you
if
you
that's
guys
okay.
seen these questions as well? Do you know what questions?
More around related to their challenges. So this
Okay.
is something that we are coming up after interviewing more or less every team that gets into Spotlight, and we're building the.
Okay. So we don't have to stick to the questions. Let's open it up.
I think Alex wanted to say something, or Katarina.
Yeah, I wanted to say, but yeah, but shy a little bit. So I wanted to, I don't know if my question will fit, but you know, I'm new to sales. And by the way, I Googled multiple times when you were talking. Sorry, because I didn't know. And I was just like, what is that? What is he talking
it's
about?
my fault. So if like
No,
you don't
no,
understand
but
something,
everyone
you
was
should-
cool, and it was just like me. And I hate sales, to tell you the truth. I am in CO, so I'm doing with operations. I would do everything not to deal with customers, honestly.
That's
But I have to.
Because they have the answers.
Yes, and that's why. But my struggle now, because you know I'm managing actually the budgets and everything. So I have a question. So okay, we're doing B2B sales, niche product. How can you conquer the Europe, spread to Europe, all the Europe? For example, you have some tough markets. Is it the only way to hire a salesperson that will look over some, let's say 3 or 4 countries, they have similar language and mentality? You pay him, I don't know, some salary plus commissions. Is it the only way to do it? Because I'm asking everyone, and they seem to do it the same thing. How to do it?
So there are a couple ways, right? So you have you're asking about outbound, like an outbound strategy, right?
Yes.
And so outbound is typically effective because you can sort of have very little sort of waste, and you can figure out the organizations, the people, the stakeholders who are involved. It's time consuming, right? But you can create a good sort of outbound sales team. Now, the other side of that coin is inbound, right? Being able to attract leads and then convert the leads into demos. So my question to you is, your product, your service, your industry, how do they buy in your industry? Like I used to work at Citibank, right?
Mm-hmm.
And only outbound trade shows will work, because if you're trying to reach a trader on the trading floor, the trader is not Googling product to blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
inbound, done for you. People don't buy it that way. No SEO strategy, no PPC strategy.
No.
So people in your industry, how do they buy this?
Outbound. So we go to professional events and we meet people, and you kind of, your contacts, it's gold, and you have kind of years to maintain them. Okay. So what we do, and then COVID closed these events, and we are kind of solving this problem. But yeah, this is it. Only outbound.
So, outbound is fine, but you still need a website, you still need content, and you still need sort of thought leadership that will help you sell. What do I mean by that? Okay. Doesn't matter how many times you call someone. You're like, hey, I just want to check back in with you. Have you like made a decision on that? That's like the most painful thing I ever hear, right? When salespeople like have nothing to offer, but they're just phoning back. So you need to think about what is the key struggles that your people, that your prospects have, right? What's information that you can give them, aka what we call lead magnets or guides or white papers or something, to help them make progress where they are now, right? And so at least if you use LinkedIn or use outbound techniques, you will have something to give them. Here's a white paper we've done on, you know, the tour industry 2022, things to like look out for, things to, because what are they struggling with? Like making more money, finding more customers, where are they gonna, so these are things that you can help them with, right? Without without trying to shove, you know, D groups down their throat all the time. That's why people use white papers. That's why people use thought leadership pieces. So when you're doing this outbound, you need to have a decent amount of content to back that up with.
Mm-hmm.
Like once they're in, you know, once that you have one conversation, they're not going to buy just on one conversation, right? It takes time to nurture leads. So you should have emails that are sent on a regular basis that are nurture streams that help them make progress, that sort of educate them on the space. Think about every single objection that you get from these people. Think about every single misconception that they have about you. Think about all the things you have to do to reframe the problem in their mind. And as soon as they get on, you get their email, they should be receiving not sales emails, but emails that sort of are educational, nurturing based, that help your prospect see the problem in a new light. And this will help your outbound efforts go much more efficiently because you're not using human energy to constantly contact them. You can use digital media to do that. Is that clear? Ish?
Yeah, but it would not be my product. So I can just give you an example of what you were saying. What they really want is the hotels, when they are full, they don't really care about you. But they want to be full when they are low season, you know, it's their problem. So they want to have requests when they need it, you know, and tour operators want to have the best prices ever when they want. So my product right now, I don't have enough traction to give them, but it is in plans. It's one of the value propositions. I want to be able to say to tour operators, hey guys, if you want to go to Milan, don't go in November because there's a lot of fieras. You will have like way high prices. And I want to say, go in October, you will have like 50% less and things like that. So this data I can get from third-party providers, maybe some, you know, data agencies and things like that. So are you saying to me that I can kind of get some data somewhere, then put it somehow in my sales emails, not sales, but take care and say, hey, by the you're offering to do that. That has nothing to do actually with D groups. It's one of the, let's say, goals we are going to, but not there yet.
So your typical sales cycle goes from like not aware, aware, consideration, purchase, right? And so you want to have some content out there that will make people aware of you, but then you want to have specific content when they're in the consideration phase. Okay, they've had a conversation with you. What do you do? Okay, but how are you different from? How are you better than? Why would I use you over? Those are your consideration content that you need to have, right? And they should be positioned more as nurturing versus a hard sales, right? Because your job at this point is to build what we call trusted advisor status. You want to be seen as like, not neutral, but like a thought leader, as opposed to like trying to sell the whole time. Cool. Does anybody have any other questions? Go on, Alex.
Rolling back on the Northern Star metric, my sense is that it's too soon to think about it. I mean, we thought about it initially. For us, it would be the completion rate of a bundle that actually helps you learn a new craft or a new skill, right? So as long as more people complete that bundle, I mean, go through each article, video, product, and so on, then that would be a Northern Star metric. But then we are so far away from that point.
Yeah.
It seems so it's like in a different reality, right?
It's pointless. So you, because you are very early, you should be using sort of innovation accounting. So it's like, how many interviews have we done? How many pain points have we validated or invalidated through conversation? So don't forget the North Star metric for now. Right now, since you're like really figuring out product market or fit, use sort of like innovation lean accounting. Much better for you.
Thank you.
Couple more minutes.
Yeah. I
have another one.
Give
If that
someone
works.
else a chance, and then
Okay.
if there's not, we'll come
I
back to
will.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah, last chance at least in this call, and I would suggest if you have, I prioritize, meaning speaking about prioritization, the time spent here. So if 3 minutes for that short interview, that would be sufficient for us. So shout out your last question, concern, before I ask at least one question to Nopadon to capture this for an interview.
Then I'll take off my glasses.
Yeah, not now, but yeah.
Oh my
preparing
God,
for it not to hold you more than the time reserved. Cool. Who wants to say it? Any thought, any question, any reaction or whatsoever?
we're a bit all over the place. But I hope the takeaway from this, guys, is you have a superpower, and that superpower is speed, and you should be utilizing that speed to your advantage. And the only way to do that is every single person on the team is aligned and knows exactly the thing that they're working on is going to contribute to that thing that matters most right now. Not a year from now, not maybe, but what's the most important thing. And so decide as a team on your North Star metric, identify your key growth levers, identify your bottlenecks, and begin, just like your engineering team does, working through sprints, but this is like experiment and marketing sprints to unlock that knowledge, unlock those wins. It is extremely simple, guys. Really is. It really is. It's not hard whatsoever. But you just have to have that discipline in order to do it. And that's how you grow. I swear to God.
Would use the moment to recap on just a couple things that you've said, and this is free for us all to stay. I'm just gonna pin your image on the screen now, and use these 2 minutes or so just to recap part of this. So you said, Nopadon, that growth is a team sport,
Yeah.
and it's actually easy to grow. But what are the barriers, and how can startup founders fight the barriers that will lead them to growth?
So the first bit, growth is a team sport. You know that growth can't happen in isolation, right? It's not the marketer's job. It's everyone's job at your stage. Growth is everyone's job, and it's incredibly important for the team to be extremely focused and aligned around the things that matter most and what has to be done. The barriers that I see time and time again is multiple priorities, doing too much, doing unimportant things, not having a test and learn methodology, just sort of like winging it, and not knowing your customers to the level that you need to. So all of us have built products, all of us have businesses, and we know of our customers' pain. So we know enough, but we know enough to be dangerous. And so what I challenge you guys to do, and what teams need to do, is dig deeper to really find those insights. Really understand, as we mentioned, your prospects' outcomes, their anxieties, the things that cause them inertia, and that ruthless sort of prioritization that teams need to do in order to focus and grow.
Thanks for that. And just to build up on this, these superpowers work when the team is aligned. How can the team get aligned?
So one of the things that we talked about today is that North Star metric. I can't stress how important it is for future growth. If your team, your core team, does not share the same definition or idea of success. If you have co-founders who are on a different page, how are you possibly going to grow in the most efficient, methodical fashion, right? And so once you get beyond 2 founders or your founding team and you have a larger team, there is this opportunity for people to just move and work in different directions. And as I mentioned to you guys earlier, your only superpower at this point is speed. You can't outspend the competition. You can't outwork the competition. There's no prize for like working hard. There's only prizes for working smart. And the only way you guys can do this is by getting through those validated learning loops as quick as possible. And so test and learn and be focused, extremely focused on your North Star.
I would only take a bow now and leave the floor to anyone else that wants to say something, any feedback, any reaction before we thank you for spending the time with us.
No, guys, thanks for
and contributing to their
me.
journey. Yeah. That was a true pleasure.
I'm on LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm.
Just reach out. It would be great. I'd love to hear about your future journeys, how you're getting on, what questions, where you get stuck. But it was an absolute pleasure to spend my Friday evening with you. Great speaking to you guys. And like I said, guys, like nothing that I spoke about today is hard or rocket science. It's very straightforward, very simple. All you have to do is put one foot in front of the other and actually implement and do it. Just get moving.
Yeah. This reminder of fighting the inertia ourselves and the founders as well. I think this should be written above our bed sheets, just to wake up with this, not with the New York Times.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
Fight the inertia.
Well,
thanks, Nopadon.
Thanks so much, guys.
Thank you deeply.
I hope to connect with you guys on LinkedIn. Thanks so much for spending time with me.
Thanks as well. Enjoy the rest of the evening and the weekend. Bye. And we'll see us soon.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Cheers. Bye. Thanks a lot.
Bye.
Yeah, just a quick thing for who's sticking around here. Very in line with what Nopadon is saying about following the really essential thing and just focus on what makes impact right now. There's a book by Greg McCown, I believe.
You can leave a link and I can already put it in the thread in Slack. Yeah.
Nationalism, yeah.
What was that?
Just a second. Linka închide puțin ăla. Sorry,
no worries.
my daughter.
We know the drill.
Yeah.
I have a rainbow here. Well, she fell asleep now.
Where is it? On Amazon. Yeah, this is it. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll leave it here in the chat.
Yeah, I'll take it and put it into.
Yeah, I've read it like 2 times. really kicks in. It's a light and quick read, but really powerful. So if you're into that, yeah. Thanks for sharing and thanks for sticking around. Hope it was useful. We'll meet again soon, and I can stick around if you want to share more thoughts. I think it was one of the best Q&As yet. I can't think right now of another Q&A. Let me scroll here, but I think this one was the best. Yeah, it stripped the topic to the bones. Yeah.
I have so much written.
Deeply enjoyed as well. We're
also
sharing this journey with you.
Also, Ramley John's Q&A was good, but didn't strike me like this one, maybe. But yeah.
Thanks nice. For thanks for using this to your advantage, because this is we are just it's a collateral for us that we have the chance to be around. But it would be great if you can use this for your guys, think about it. Think about it. You're not gonna win the 350,000 euros at the end. So what's your takeaway? Go forward and ask stupid questions and break stuff. So, you can advise for that as well. Cool.
Okay,
cool.
Everyone.
I'll see you soon. Yeah. Drink like there's no tomorrow. But actually, it is. So enjoy the start of the new week. but do something for you this weekend as well, and we'll see us soon.
Alex, I have a very quick question. Are
Yeah,
you
please.
From Romania? So you're
Yep.
local from, okay, then I will ask a few questions on Monday regarding the very simple questions I will ask.
You can shoot even now, or you can leave me in Slack if there's something that I can do in asynchronously.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, okay.